I don't mean to brag or anything, but I could have filled this whole evening with the dumb stuff that's come out of my mouth. I'm gonna skip right over the story in our family known as the night Mom tried to kill Grandma on her 85th birthday. In my defense, I thought I was trying to do a good thing, baking the cake Mom's mother made when she was little. Let's just say it involved coconut in her cake that would have been lethal. Daughter Maggie asked, "Mom, is Grandma supposed to eat coconut?" Oh well. She survived. And then there was the time when we were at Wetstein's Rent-A-Movie here in La Crosse in the golden age of VHS. You didn't know there was a golden age of VHS? Are you still stuck on beta? Yeah. Anyway, 3-year-old Michael had candy cradled in his hand for the very first time. He didn't know what it was exactly, but he knew it was a treasure. Wetstein's then had this old-fashioned popcorn machine, and as you walked around looking for a movie, you could munch on popcorn, which of course Michael wanted. When he asked me for popcorn one too many times, out of my exasperated mouth came the words, "Now, Michael, you know you can't have any popcorn until you finish your candy." The jaw of another mother walking by with their kids dropped, or rather crashed to the floor. Oi, I'm sure she thought, I've got to get my children away from this crazy mother. My best story is about the time I walked by Maggie's room one night and heard her wailing. I went in there trying to find out what was so horribly wrong that this 10-year-old was sobbing so hard. "I don't want to go to Europe without you," she choked out a solitary word at a time. She was proud to have made the traveling group for the La Crosse Girls Chorus, which was headed to Europe that summer. I racked my brain trying to think of just the perfect thing to say to make her feel better, since we could not afford to go with her on this trip. I know, I thought, I can tell her the inspiring story of her great-grandmother, Nettie Itzkovitz. Nettie's parents had put her on a ship to America from Hungary. It was one of the iconic American immigration stories that required courage on the part of the immigrant and even more guts and selflessness on the part of her parents who wanted her to have a better life. Holding Maggie in bed, I began saying to myself all the while to stop at a certain point. "You know, Maggie, your great-grandmother Nettie came to this country when she was 14 all by herself." "Really?" Maggie asked between the wails. "Yes." Now I kept telling myself to stop. That I had already proven Nettie's resilience, which was a character strength I wanted to impart to my daughter. "Don't say it," I said to myself. "Don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it." I said it. Out it came. Words I could not stop coming out of my mouth if my life depended on it at that moment. Those were the words that were part of the story I had always heard from my mom. Yes, she came all the way over by herself to America at age 14, and she never saw her parents again. The wailing that may have slowed momentarily resumed with a vengeance. Maggie was inconsolable, rightfully so. The only way I could stop her sobs was for me to say, "Maggie, Maggie, think of how silly I am. If that is what I tell you to make you feel better, what would I say to make you feel awful?" That made her laugh. We both laughed. Needless to say, she did not go to Europe that summer. And Maggie, incidentally, is a mother herself, and she does let me near her children. I think my errors harken back to a message from my mom the first night home from the hospital with our first child, Matt. He kept crying and I kept crying, and I kept calling my mother for help. Mom oozed wisdom from all her pores. She said, "Sue, he wants to be a good citizen, he just doesn't know how yet." So let's just say as a mother, I wanted to be a good citizen, I just didn't know how yet. Until I do, I think the applicable message that applies is if you are my kid, don't listen to your mother.